This time I'm a little sick, so please bear with me. I have a little mic that's gonna cut some sound because I'm so sick. My voice is just really raspy all over the place, so I'm hoping that you guys can hear me very well, because the topic of today's video is going to be schematics testing, you guys. I get that literally twice a day, 3 times a day. Even in my training, I've had a lot of people that I've trained the last couple of weeks asking me, hey, I thank you for helping me pass my interview, my face-to-face. Now I have my schematic test, which literally, I think right off the bat when you start training, they want to test you and make sure that you know your stuff and you've studied your packet, and they will test you on that. So in order for you guys to do really well, I'm going to give you some tricks how to learn the schematic, and I'm probably going to do another video on how to pass your drills. Drills are a little bit different than schematics. Schematics, a lot of memorization. Don't get me wrong, you do have to memorize your oral drills, but schematics is very meticulous. You need to know where things are in particular order, and you have more than one plane, so it's pretty important that you kind of structure your studying in order to memorize everything that you need to memorize. Now, I'm going to give you a few tricks. You guys, I'm sure you've picked up some tricks along the way from people on YouTube. I've got my own way of learning, so I will share that with you. Hopefully, you guys can learn from it, and I hope that it's going to help you with your upcoming test. So keep watching, and let's do it. Okay, so I'm back. All right, so you guys, I've talked to you guys about cards. Okay, cards are really great. Again, schematics, I don't recommend cards because obviously cards, unless you put where schematics, to begin with, you guys, if you've never been in the airline industry, schematics basically means the layout of a plane, and you need to know where everything is. It's really important because in case of emergency, you need to know where your safety ropes are going to be, where your axe is going to be, where your lifeboats are situated in every single plane. So in case of emergency, when you're not thinking clearly, you need to know where everything is right off the bat. So this is why they test you on that, you guys. It's really important that you know this. And so, I mean, I always say flashcards are good. I personally did not use that technique. You can use them if you want, but again, flashcards to know where things are is not really going to help you unless you have the image of a plane and you can kind of question yourself. You can do it that way. You can draw a plane and just kind of every card has a plane layout with where things need to be. I mean, you could do that. I don't know how that would work. But the way that I did it, you guys, I purchased this on Amazon. It's called a Teacher's Toolbox. Okay, you guys, so Teacher's Toolbox. It is a plastic container. I love it. It's got a little pocket inside. Okay, they come in different colors, and when you buy them, I think they came in a set of 5 or 6. I mean, I purchased them a year ago. I can't remember, but you just basically throw them in, throw whatever sheet of paper in. I like to put 2, so I have one side here, and then my other page would be here. Now, it's fun because you can take them out, you can put them back, you can draw as much as you want on top, and you can always erase, which is great so you don't waste a lot of paper. Let's be environment safe, you guys. Again, grab your erasable pen. Oopsie. Okay, grab your erasable pen, draw on it, and I don't know if you can see that. Probably you can, probably you can't, I'm not sure. And then you just basically go over it with your eraser and you erase your answers. Now, what are you going to put inside? You can either print out, which is what I did, from your packet that you're going to get to bring home. If I were you, I would print out the schematic. So I'm going to give you an overview of what it looks like without giving you all of it. Okay, so this is what it looks like, you guys. So it looks like a plane, okay? Again, this is what it looks like. And then they give you blanks next to it. Blanks with numbers. Now, every number is identified on the plane. And then they will tell you, what's this? What's number 1? What's number 2? What's number 3? What's number 5? What's number 6? And you need to know where everything is. Now, this is a 319. Just to give an example, we have 3 planes. Some airlines have 10, others have 20, depending on legacies. They have Embraers, they have Airbuses, they have all sorts of planes. So what I suggest that you do is that you make a photocopy, or if you're a really good artist, you can draw the plane yourself. Up to you. Once you make a copy, you're gonna put it inside your little pocket, as so. And then what you can do is you can make a copy of another plane as well. So we in our company have 3 planes. Airbus is 319, 320, and 321. I've put the copy of the 319 on one side and 320 on the other side. Now there's still the 321, and I have many of these pockets. So I would put the 321 in the other pocket, and maybe in the back of that, something else that we were studying at the time. And then what I would go ahead and do is I would grab my pen, erasable pen, and I would write down what I think is in the flight deck. So as for example here, there's like a little flight deck, little number 1 here, and it tells you, what do you remember that's in there? Let's see. So I would take my pen and I would write, you know, acts and blah, blah, blah. So you just write everything that you remember. And then I would check my answer. And if my answer did not match what I wrote, I would then punish myself. Yes, I'm very hard on myself. That's the way I learn. I would erase the answer, even if I had everything else right, but one was missing. Because I know in the flight deck, there's more than one thing. So I would probably erase that and I would start all over from the beginning. And then if I got the flight deck right, then what about number 2? What's in the jump seat area? You know, there's always a little, when you pre-flight your flight, you need to know what's under your, you know, your jump seat, so, or your jump seat area. What's above, what's below. And so I would write it down, and if I would get one wrong, I would erase the flight deck and I would erase the jump seat. So I would start all over again. My way of punishing myself for not knowing them by now, because I would study them. So that would be one way that I would study my schematics. Now this is a great way to learn, you guys, if you're very visual like I am. You can just do this over and over and over again until you master it. I remember I've used these literally like every single day for about a month, because thankfully, I don't know if you guys remember from my past videos, I was given 3 to 4 weeks prior to training to study my packet, and I studied it, you guys. I knew this stuff inside and out. With that said, this is one of them. Now I'll show you my other technique. What I did also, and I think I talk about it on my other videos, but if you don't remember or you didn't see them, I would actually cut off this part right here. So I would make a photocopy of the original. I wouldn't touch the original. I would leave it in its packet, but I would make this copy, and then I would cut it right down there. And then with this little piece of plane, I would do the same thing with the 320, and I would do the same thing with the 321. And so now I would have 3 strips of planes, and I would put them side by side on a white sheet of paper. Okay, so I would kind of glue them or stick them to a white sheet of paper, and I would photocopy them together, which would then look like this. So I'm gonna go fast. I don't want you guys to see my notes because it's private, but it would basically look like that. So I would have 4 planes on one sheet of paper, which is awesome. So I'm very visual, but the way that I learn is if I can compare. Now, I was able to compare because they're all in front of here. 319, 535, 536, 320, and 321, all Airbuses. So I was able to compare them side by side and be like, oh yeah, the lifelines, there's more on this plane, not that plane. So when you can actually compare planes, you can take down notes. Again, I've used, at that time, I didn't buy these little pockets, so I used a, whatchamacallit? These are kind of like sleeves. They're kind of like plastic sleeves that cover your pages. So, I mean, anything that's plasticky that you can erase, that works just as well. So I used these and I covered them. And so it was just great to have them side by side. It just helped me so much study. And like I said, I'm very visual, so I could see them. And then just kind of make comparisons. So that is such a great help. Again, you have to do what works for you. Now, with that said, my third way of learning was to grab a board. I love to draw, so I'm a pretty good artist, you can say. Even if you're not, it's okay. I grabbed a huge, humongous board, which I had downstairs for my past businesses. And I basically put that board on the wall, which was right by my bedside. Now I drew the plane, and I drew everything next to that plane. And what I would do is recite it in my mind while I'm laying down in bed, whether it's morning, afternoon, night, or after a nap or whatnot. I would wake up and be like, okay, I know this is there, this is there, this is there. Oh, I forgot this one. Then I would peek over to the wall with my board, and I'd be like, oh, that's right. And then I would start all over. So again, that was practice on top of doing all this. It was on my wall. I kept on looking at that board every single day. And I just kept on practicing and seeing it. The more you see something, the more you remember. Just remember in elementary school how you had all the ABCs on the walls, all your letters and your important keywords that you needed to memorize. Those are there for a reason. So you just keep on looking at them. And without you knowing it, you're memorizing them subconsciously. So that's the way that I was doing it. So I had that board right there, and I just kept on looking back all the time. Now another way, which is really similar, if you don't have a board, I did something silly. I mean, you guys, like, when I tell you I'm visual, and I'm not lying. Okay, so you're gonna laugh, but this is my 321 plane. Okay, as you can see, there is no, I don't know if you can catch it. Okay, so there is no plane, but I put everything on the wall. I basically had a paper as large as yourself. It was like 7 feet high. I stuck a bunch of papers together. Nothing fancy. See, it's 2 sheets of paper together, stapled. And then I stuck little papers. I would cut out little papers, and I would write what that plane has, and I would put them in my hand and just like stick the tail on the donkey type thing. So I would grab one of these little papers and stick them where I thought on the paper they would be. So that would be another game that I would play if I just, for some reason, if there was one plane that I just kept on being confused about, that's something that I would do over and over and over again. So I would just grab a huge piece of paper, stick a bunch of papers together. I think I have one right here. That's really large. Nope, same size. Okay, well, I had one that was huge. I must have thrown it away because it was too big to bring to bring around in training. But again, I would sorry. So I would just put a bunch of papers together, and I would just stick a bunch of things where I thought I knew they were. Now you can stick them with those little sticky notes. You can do that, or you can just staple. Now you staple them once you know where they're at. So once you memorize it, you know exactly that schematic plane, and pin the donkey's tail, and you know exactly where they are, and you know it by heart. You can staple them now so they stay. Once they stay, you can leave it up, and you could review it all the time. So you can walk, you can be in the bathroom, you come out, you just kind of take a peek. Oh yeah, I remember the demo kits are there. Oh yeah, I remember there's a PBE there. So that was so helpful, you guys. This was my 321, as you can see. This was my 321, and I did draw a bunch of little things. I'm very visual. I remember in real estate, it was so hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest tests to pass. Some people that have backgrounds in law can't even pass that test. So I'm still, I don't even know how I did it. Again, I'm very visual, so I remember drawing a bunch of little cartoons, so I knew that, like, handicapped, and there was like different things we needed to memorize in order. So I remember making a story out of it. Whatever works for you guys. Who cares what people think? As long as you come in training and you're prepared, that's what's important. Again, this is what that looked like. I know it looked weird, but it worked for me. I passed. I'm a flight attendant, so who cares what people think about me, right? That's the bottom line is you did what you needed to do so that it sticks to your brain and you memorize it. So again, to recap, the 4 ways to do this, you have your little, you can do your flashcards if you want, which for me, it wouldn't work. I don't know if you guys are like me. I just can't memorize with flashcards unless it's words. If it's words, I'm okay, but if it's location on where things are, I need to see them. Okay, so my first was, again, my little pouch, and then you put your papers in. Second one was to put the plane side by side. and just kind of like see the comparison, which helped me so much. Third one was to basically draw on a huge board all of the things that I remembered, or even make a big picture, and you can actually add stuff or have it all written out so you can see it visually, or you know, pin your answers on a little piece of paper. You can have it on the wall and just kind of get these little papers out, cut them. It's very time consuming, I will not lie, because I have a lot of these little papers. As you can see, they're all like sticking out like that. And I would kind of go through them and be like, oh, I remember this was on the top and this was at the bottom. So I get my notes, which they're so helpful, because we have to go through recurrent every year, and they were, you know, you're going to be tested again, and you have to get a 90 in order to keep your license alive or keep your status as a flight attendant alive. And so I'm always going to go back to my notes. They've helped me so much, although I know most of the stuff now. But you tend to forget. That's just the way the brain is. If you don't practice something every day or weekly, you tend to forget. And unfortunately, I don't want that to happen, so I'm keeping all my notes with me. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. If you have any other ideas that you want to share with everyone else, please post them below so we can help each other out. If there's anything I missed, or you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Again, I am training. I'm getting pretty much booked up as far as training, but if you guys want to get trained right before Christmas, I know there's a huge event. I believe it's December 3rd for Spirit Airlines. There's another one for Southwest who's opening up pretty soon, and their opening window is literally like a few days, and then once they have their 20 to 30,000 candidates, they'll close it up, and they won't be open for another year, sometimes 2 years. So you guys jump on that wagon. I've seen Delta, I've seen SkyWest. We'll make a video on how to find out who's opening, who's not. But at the same time, if you guys, you know, need some training, a little boost just before you get into that training, or even before that face-to-face, or even if you need help with resume, you guys, I can help you with your keywords just to get that resume in, so that they can call you and be like, hey, we want to know more about you. We love what you have to say on your resume. So even if to get that phone call and you need help, please email me. My info. All my info is below this video, and I'll be sure to answer all of your emails. I answer all of them regardless of what it is. And like I said, my training is very affordable. I'm here to help you. I've done it. I've gotten over 6, 7 CJOs. I obviously accepted one, and I'm actually working for my company now, which I am very happy at. But if you guys need anything, I'm always here for you guys. So hit me up. And hope to hear from you guys soon. So thank you for bearing with me. I know my throat, I've been sick, so I appreciate you watching me. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye.